collegiate baseball here in Junction City. We switched leagues here a little over a year ago after originally establishing our own league, which was a lot of play here in the area. But now it involves a lot more traveling, which has been a bit of a challenge, but it's also stepped up the level of play quite a bit. Tonight, there's a kickoff event at High Wind Brewery where they're going to be some of the players that are in town will be there this evening. The host families. It's a unique experience, and I know Cecil's spoken to us in the past, but we treat these players like exchange students. So they're here for about 2 months. We have local host families that adopt them. I've had the pleasure of doing that 4 times. And wish I had the space in my basement to do it again, but I got to get rid of a kid. But these are kids that I still have relationships with years later. A lot of fun. We even had one from Australia, which is kind of unique. A kid that liked baseball, and baseball in Australia is kind of like soccer here. You know, it's there, but it's super fun. And this young man applied to like 30 colleges and got the first offer he got was from Dodge City. So coming from Sydney, Australia, with his father in LA, then to Denver, and then in this little bitty pedal jumper to Dodge City, that was quite an experience for this young man. But he's now head of the Baseball Association of Australia, which is pretty interesting. It's a national appointment position there, so that's pretty exciting. But we've had quite a few kids come through from all over the nation. I've had, I think, 4 drafted into the minors. Trying to think of what I didn't prepare for this.
Did Patrick guy go through this? Did he play for Brigade? Patrick?
Nicky?
Nick.
No, he did not. He played for a team in Arizona. He was a little out of our league. No. We do have a couple of locals playing this year. So Morgan Davis's brother played last year.
Yeah.
I believe he's returning this year. Kay Fisher's grandson, Eva's son, will be playing for us this year. He's heading off to school. See, his dad, Willie, runs the JAG program. He's spoken to us here before. Trying to think of who else locally. I've got too many irons in the fire and step back, and I'm treasurer, and I work with our bookkeeper at the dealership, so I'm still there to sign checks and do a little bit of administration, but I'm not as involved as I once was. But we have our bylaws, we have altered to allow for trying to think of emeritus members, if you will. That's kind of the status that I'm sitting in now. So I show up when I can and do what I can at a game and fetch ice or dump trash or whatever else, but still sign checks.
Who else was one of the founders?
So the original thing was Cecil Ascott, Jeff Underhill, myself, Mike Hellstab, Adam Wilkie, and Josh Allen were the original founders of the team. We had the Junction City Generals. There was a family that had a contract on Fort Riley, and they were just big baseball fans, and they tried to do a for-profit thing here, and I think they were 3 or 4 years that they had baseball there, and it was nice to have family entertainment summer evening for a very reasonable price. The tickets for adults are $5. I think seniors are $3. The adult beverages used to be $3. Now I think they're $4. So when you talk about parking, if you go to a Royals game, you feel lucky if you get to park with half a mile. Here you have to walk more than a block. It's a lot. We have a wonderful facility in Rayford Stadium. This community that was a WPA project built in what?
1938.
38. Okay, I was getting confused. 36 or 38. But sits with its back to the sun as the sun sets, which is really nice, and it's got a lot of natural features that keep it cool, ventilation, and the ceiling fans. It's just a wonderful facility and a true gem of our community. We did a lot of work to it about 25 years ago. I think we freshened it up, put a roof back on it. I know when I was in high school, it had a whole lot of caution tape, and there was even discussion of tearing it down at one point. But I'm glad that the city saw fit to keep it, and it's in need of a little more repair. But the city has been a great partner. Local foundations like the Bramlage Foundation, the R2B4 was instrumental working with the city and the brigade to bring in artificial turf, which is kind of a mixed feeling if you're a baseball traditionalist. We had a lot of the kids that never played on grass before because everything is artificial turf these days, and which has got all kinds of benefits, like when it rains, you don't have to cancel a game, you don't have to do whatever. But these kids get, you don't know how the ball is going to bounce. Well, as a spectator, that was awesome. That ball could go any direction. And so there was a lot more maintenance, a lot more issues. But to switch it over to artificial turf was wonderful because we don't have to deal with the rainouts. And while we are a not-for-profit, the goal is to break even and not go in the negative. So if there was a rained out game and we weren't able to sell tickets, it was a really, really scary thing. I know our first season, we had a pretty good rainstorm. We had a team that drove all the way from Oklahoma, and the coach and the secretary treasurer was his bride. They had leased a Greyhound bus, if you will. It cost them $1,200 to get here. And then, of course, it pop-up thunderstorm that nobody was expecting. We'll let you determine. He goes, well, we spent a lot of money getting here. We want to play ball. Called every farmer we knew with propane torches that she used to burn your field. And we were out there trying to dry off the infield where it was the crushed red brick. So we did whatever we could to have a muddy slide day. I guess way back in the day, they used to have connections on Fort Riley, and you could have a Chinook cover over it. But they kind of laughed at us when we talked about the stories that we had heard before. Well, we used to have friends out here who would just come over for a little bit. And, yeah, okay. They wouldn't do it. But it's so we kick off on our first game here. Well, it's on the 29th or 30th is the first home game. Schedule. So May 30th is our first game playing Saturday. Our first game is on the road against the Kansas Cannons. And then our next game is June 3rd. Has everybody had an opportunity to come to a game here in the room? Okay. You haven't been to one already? Yep. I got to get you there this year. And you have been? You haven't been?
I like it.
Okay. We have a fireworks display. We try and do 4 to 5 times a year. What's really neat about that is they close the street right behind the stadium, and you are truly underneath the fireworks. It is a tremendous display. We try and have various people come sing the national anthem beforehand, which is pretty entertaining. When the whole thing started, and we were having all these conversations in Cecil's basement about what we wanted to do and how we did it, I always talked about having Ray Charles sing "America the Beautiful" while the fireworks are going off. And one of the other members said, "Why Ray Charles?" And if you hadn't seen the Sandbox, you need to the Sandlot. You need to get that here. But it's just good old fashioned baseball, family fun. I love the fact that you can entertain people cheaper than you can have over your house. You can enjoy some great baseball, not have a mess. You can just go home and not be absolutely exhausted or out of the hotel room. It's a big game, and I think it's better great ball.
Will you tell Jerry and others where the stadium is or the field is?
So Ranger Field, I get confused on the streets there. So that is 10th Street, because there's a dead end right there. You have to help me out there.
Isn't it on 12?
So 12th is the
12th.
backside.
Yeah.
10th is so 11th Street is dead end. Yeah, in the parking lot. That's where.
The 12th Street Community Center is next door, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
It's 13th Street. It's like the main entrance.
Okay.
It's 13th.
And then it wraps
The
around
back of it is 14th.
14th Street.
And the
Okay.
front of it would be 12th.
Okay. It's large.
It's 900 West 13th Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you come in on 13th Street.
But it's a big old limestone facility. It's gosh, getting ready to celebrate 100 years. There were a lot of things, like we got a new bathroom added a couple of years ago. That was the setback. It used to just have a men's room, and then they turned one into a ladies' room. It still does have some pretty primitive dugouts from back in the day. I'm sure Dr. Miller can share some history, but there's all kinds of legend about Jackie Robinson being stationed at Fort Riley, playing on our football team, but couldn't. The first team to play there were the Centaurs, which were a team from Fort Riley. But I understand we were still segregated at that point, and Jackie Robinson could not play there, but however could play with the Negro League when they traveled through. So Junction City was on the stop for the barnstormers, if you will. And if you go to the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City, if you've been there, I'm sure you haven't. So our game was playing how many times you could find Junction City. And if you go there, take your readers, because it is a ton of reading. And I had no idea the font and how much of it there was. I mean, there's no simple display. I mean, each one's like a newspaper article. And I think 8 times is what I found Junction City listed in the museum. And trust me, I did not read everything. I did not bring my reading glasses. So I had a crick in my neck, hitting everything in the reader window there. But Junction City played an integral part in the traveling baseball during the glory days of the Negro League. Buck Owens was here for the rededication years ago. It was 5 years ago when the city rededicated. It's nice to have. There was a couple others here, but he was the featured speaker. Rededicated.
I was off by a year. It said it was completed in 37.
In
Yeah,
37.
that's what I just read too.
See, and I was thinking 36, but that might have been when she started. So started construction.
And it was always called Rayford Field,
Field.
not Stadium.
Right. We refer to it as the stadium, but it is the field.
Is the sign stadium up in front of it, or is it field?
So one was, and it was changed.
Uh-huh.
And that was because there was a big debate.
Yeah.
Cunningham was a part of that,
Yes.
a bunch of others. There were, here recently, we've lost a lot of the Navajo gang. There was Kate Hellstab was a part of that. Trying to think of who the other folks were. There were a bunch of kids that used to hang out outside,
Yeah.
and they actually had pins. But it was the Navajo gang
Oh,
that
really?
presented. Trying to think of the other people. There were, at one point when we started the team, I think there were 3 of them still alive. And they could tell us all the stories about watching the baseball through the fence and then not being able to afford to get in for whatever it was, 10 cents. Then you talk to people like Cecil Aska that grew up next to the field and used to get hired to pass out flyers whenever a team was coming to town, and hanging around the players and all that.
So they started off as the Generals,
Started off as the Generals in the collegiate.
and then they changed to the Brigade.
So we sat empty for 2 or 3 years, and a bunch of us missed that and decided we'd take on something silly like starting a nonprofit and tackling something we had no idea what we were doing. Found out just how much work it is.
And why did they change the name?
So they owned the Generals. We were something new and we were something different. We had a naming contest and we had all kinds of names presented. We really didn't have a mascot, but what kind of resembled team effort, Junction City Strong, had a reference to the military. And one of the suggestions was the Brigade, which we thought kind of had a ring to it. But we went that route.
Where did you get the, I just had to see, I didn't even know what it was until I seen advertising, I think maybe on Facebook, where they're just looking for host family.
Mhm.
Where did the kids come from there making up the brigade? I
So-
mean, not geographical location, but
Colleges.
college.
So historically, originally, we wanted Division I talent. We wanted a lot of that. And that comes with a lot of ego, attitude, whatever else. And then we got in with some kids from Emporia and a few other schools, and we found that there's kids that aren't quite ranked as high that play twice as hard. And we kind of left it up to the coach, and that's where we were getting our coaching talent. That's one challenge, is we don't keep a coach very long, because they're former players, and they're now usually an assistant coach somewhere else. But then as soon as they get engaged, it's not cool to say, honey, I'm going to spend a couple months with the boys playing baseball. So we seem to lose them to marriage. and proposals quite a bit. We're lucky to keep a coach for a couple of years because of that. But the kids all over the Midwest, and now that we've stepped up a league, pretty much all over the nation. It's a really tight worked program where coaches want to find places that they want their kids to go and want them to learn philosophies from other kids and practices from other kids and want to keep them in shape, but they don't want to burn them out or tear apart. We as a nation and youth sports, especially baseball, I fear we start our kids way too early and we push them way too hard. The number of these kids that have Tommy John shoulder surgeries and elbow surgeries is really kind of scary because a lot of these muscles aren't developed until you're in your early 20s. But I had a son that was in traveling baseball, and that's something we push because everybody's kid's going to be the next big basketball or baseball star. And I think it's time we just take it back to kids having fun, teaching gentlemen the conduct and a friendly sport. That's what baseball was always known as. Sport.
Who's your coach this year?
I know his name. Got it. Look forward to meeting him tonight. It's his first year. But I would invite everybody to Highway Brewery tonight. They're going to have kind of a meet and greet with everything. And then definitely invite everybody out to Saturday night's game.
And the game starts at what time?
7 o'clock. Almost all of our games are at 7, and occasionally there's 1 or 2 that are at 6.
The projected cost was $53,073.74 in 1936.
Isn't that amazing? Because the bathroom, I think, was right about that we added to it. It's kind of like touring historic posts and seeing what most of those were built for. Yeah. That's crazy. And the craftsmanship and the workmanship.
Not only Jackie Robinson, but Buck O'Neill played there.
Yeah. It's part of the teams that came through. I think the Monarchs again.
There was a game where the Monarchs were supposed to play there, and the team that they were supposed to play didn't show up apparently. So there was a Union Pacific baseball team, and they said, "We'll gather, we'll play, we'll play the Monarchs." They did, and the Union Pacific team beat the Monarchs that
Wow. Of course, there was a wild party when you hear back in
Yeah,
those days.
sure.
Do the stories of Babe Ruth and all those.
Yeah.
What we think of an athlete today compared to what an athlete back then was.
We have the baseball uniform of the United of the Pacific, Union Pacific play at the museum.
Okay. That's definitely been the home to Legion Ball for quite some time since then. And the Centaurs, I always read the legend of the Fort Riley team that debuted there. Half horse, half man. And when you say Centaur, half the people look at you like you're crazy. But I'm curious who all they played. If it was other military teams. There's not a ton of history about that, but there are some neat black and white photos. I get a kick being a Chevrolet dealer, seeing the Chevrolet bow tie on the wall of the fence, and the community band in their heavy wool uniforms out there performing on the field. But there's a handful of those pictures, but that's about it. Any other questions? But
Type of food and stuff like that.
hamburgers, hot dogs, nachos. In the past, I missed the last 2 meetings. In the past, we've also featured some various food trucks that provide meals. So the Filipino American Club used to come there with their trailer. We've had Yuri's Pizza. We've had Milo's. We've had a few different organizations. Paradox did barbecue a few times. So last year, 2 years ago, it's our second year, the city built a new warehouse and a concession stand, which is kind of nice to have everything a little more secure and provide more options like that. That's something that's always growing. Something else, you feed the other teams when they come in, so we're always looking for sponsors after the game. Those kids have traveled quite a ways. It's pizza. Each board member takes a turn providing a meal. But teenage boys feeding them. Great.
A couple of years when Tom Brungart was the president of the Optimist Club, we did concessions for the game under the stadium with a not so clean sink. And I think was it General Sin or the brigade?
It was the brigade. When we started out, we had a hard time trying to figure out what we could give back. And so we provided, it was a lot of work to work with the civic
Yes.
organizations,
Yes.
split the profits. But it was a lot of training every time. And
Yeah.
how you do this at the facilities. So it's nice to be able to help and keep things, but now we've had to bring on our own staff, able to maintain things.
Good.
God bless all the organizations. But it was really neat because we weren't in it for a profit. We're a not-for-profit, but it takes, I think this year we're probably $90,000 to pull this off. So when you go visit the other people that we play, there might be 24 people that show up there. We take a lot for granted. If we have a slow night, it's 150, 200 people showing up at a brigade game. You go to these other communities and these kids are playing their hearts out to live in bleachers, which is kind of sad. But yeah, it's a tremendous experience and it's a lot of fun and it's a very reasonable price.
So how is that advertised so that people know it's happening?
We do, so there's brochures all over town, the pocket. If I'd known this, I would have brought a bunch of the game programs with us that go in your wallet. We do a ton on Facebook. We used to do quite a bit on radio, and Dewey Terrell always called our games. And God bless Dewey. Now we have a couple of interns from K-State that call our games. It's in the sports world. There's all kinds of apps that games are tracked on now. So if your kid's playing collegiate baseball, there's real-time score keeping on these apps. There's Scoreboard, a couple of others, and you have to employ people to sit there and record every play and do such. But radio, newspaper, not so much anymore. But we really a lot of posters, a lot of old-fashioned.
Facebook.
Facebook is the biggest thing probably, and then word of mouth. I know I brought friends from Manhattan over, and they couldn't believe such a thing existed. And then especially for firework night, then the next time they'll bring a friend or neighbor. And that's the key is just, bringing somebody to it. It amazes me how many people live here in town and, yeah, they're fan.
Yeah.
But those are the same people that I've never heard you say there's nothing to do though.
Oh, I never, no, I'm busy all the time.
But to hear people say there's nothing to do, even if baseball is it's fun.
I was talking to Cecil this weekend, and I said you got 20 home games.
Yeah, 19 scheduled, one
Yeah.
additional.
That's a lot of opportunity to get out before.
But it's concentrated into 2 months, so it's pretty quick. It seems like you've got a game like every other night, but it's
The first home game is June 3rd.
no, the 30th Saturday.
Saturday.
Looks Saturday.
Yeah, and then our second game is the 3rd, and then June 5th. When we get into July, we always try and avoid the 4th of July, but we're playing the 3rd of July, so the night before, and and then the 7th afterwards.
Good job.
This weekend, J.C. Proud is having another community cleanup. So if you have any teenagers, neighbors, or kids, or James want to take pictures of me to get people with broken heads.
Are you going to fall again?
Yeah, I'm going to take an advisory role. They told me. And pick up sticks. But Sunday at 8:00, we're meeting at the gate our grant and working our way into town, picking up trash before the holiday. They're getting ready for the mud bog. I think this following weekend, which is a major fundraiser for Sundown Salute or Sundown Freedom Fest. And so with that, we're doing our best to pick up things and make things look a little better. So if you know anybody, even if it's not your thing. We used to have a highway cleanup as the Optimist Club, and we did the trashiest stretch in town between
By the airport.
all the way out to Highway 77.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people dispose of their stuff on the way to the lake. But I think of Buzz, Bill Spear, and Lawrence Long. There's real troopers out there. Yeah, it's amazing how many trash bags you can throw on that stretch road. I'm glad we don't do that anymore.
Well, thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you. I will. I'll bring him next week.
That'd be great.
And,
That way.
We want to remind everybody about the band concert at 3 on Sunday. At
Yes.
3, open.
It's free, it's 3 to 4, and we are ushering for the event. And it is